Hi, so Andy Barr from 10Yetis. I was really lucky in that I was able to go to Sascon, which was in Manchester on Friday, a place called The Studio, I think. And I went along with Iona St. Joseph, or at Iona St. Joseph, for those of you who are Twitter orientated. It was by far the best Sascon that I'd been to date, not least because I featured more in it. But being serious for a second, there was some absolute worldy talks. Starting off, we had Drew B, who runs Batten Hall, which is a kind of new fusion, as I understand it. It's probably not how he would explain it. It's a kind of fusion agency between social, PR, web development, and just general, tech worldies. It was really interesting. I found it interesting from a different point of view to, I guess, a lot of people. So lots of the PR, socials and SEOs in the room liked it because he said they gave unlimited holiday to people, and he just relied on people not taking the piss. And that he gave people a set budget to buy their own kit, and then they could go off and do their thing. So I was quite interested in it from that point of view, and also kind of looking at the background. So I never knew, for example, that Drew used to be a bit of a coder and into his HTML. So it's interesting to understand his sort of motivators and how it launched as an agency. And it really is an amazing agency to see now. You can see the people that they work with, and so it was really interesting to listen to Drew and see what he had to say. Also fortunate enough to sit in on Dom Birch from Asda's social team's talk. Dom, for me, is pound for pound the most influential person in social media in the UK as I see it. So I think because of the audiences that he can influence, because of the brand strength of obviously Asda and Walmart, and kind of even the budgets that they get to use in their social media campaigns. So he talked about the fact when his first kind of budget in social media for Asda was 100k, which was less than one day's newspaper ad spend. They split that into 10 different tasks. They measured it over a set period of time, and the top 5 best performing tasks on social media, they kept going and they ditched the other 5. Now, although to a lot of us 100k is a lot of money, in real terms, in terms of big brands, that's not a huge amount, and they've absolutely grown from strength to strength. And one of the things that I liked, I went straight away from the talk to go and look at Asda's social media platforms, against the likes of Tesco and also Aldi that Dom talked about as well. And by far, Asda's is the most engaged, most sort of interactive platform across all of them. I mean, if you look at Tesco and even Aldi's Facebook page, there's a lot of negative sentiment on every post that the companies do, even when they're trying to do something positive. Whereas with Asda, still, whilst there's a bit floating around, the overall sentiment is positive, and people are really engaged with the content that Dom and his team are putting out. And then finally, the last talk that I went to was Phil, the Kiwi bearded wonder man from Money Supermarket. So he's head of their organic search. And again, really interesting talk. What they're doing is, it is kind of groundbreaking in its approach, and their results are obviously fantastic. I think Phil spoke a couple of days after their financial results came out, and they're absolutely fantastic for Money Supermarket. So again, it was a really interesting talk. It's really interesting to see how they sort of deploy all of their organic tactics and what's important for them. And for me, it kind of rounded off a fantastic Sascon. It was a really good event. As ever, the venue was brilliant. The food was great. The organisation was superb as well. I should say that as well, we did. I sat on a panel talking about PR, social and SEO and how they could all work together. It turned into a tiny bit of a bun fight, but I think that was more orchestrated for the audience. But yeah, it was great fun. Really big fan of Sascon, and can't wait for the next one in June. Thanks very much.